Think back to your childhood. You probably kicked the ball around in the streets or in your local park. Maybe a Sunday league game thrown in here and there. Possibly even a Saturday game if you were that way inclined, didn't have a local team to go and watch. Pretty standard, right? Well, now imagine that both your parents were footballers, then sports teachers, and you lived mere meters from your training pitch. That was the childhood of Eden Hazard. So you could possibly say he was always destined to become a professional footballer. So what happened to him? Stay with us today as we take a look at the career of the Belgian and how his past few years have gone. First up, let's take a look at those formative years. As the oldest of 4 footballing brothers, it was always obvious that Eden was the one whom the big hopes were pinned on. As a child, the youngster would hone his skills in the youth setup of his hometown club, Royal Stade Rennais. However, his parents and others around him were all well aware of just how prodigious his talent was. So, when Lille came in and offered him a youth contract at 14, the family were quick to accept. Youth training in Belgium isn't quite what it is in neighbouring France, and with Lille just a short hop over the border, the deal was in everyone's interests. After spending the 2007 to 2008 season in the reserve team, Hazard's big break for Lille came the following season, and he took the opportunity with both hands. After being crowned League One Young Player of the Year, comparisons with Zinedine Zidane were soon being thrown around, which Hazard himself won't have been too unhappy with, considering he idolised the great man as a child. 2010 to 2011 brought another Player of the Year award, but it was obvious for all to see that the young Hazard was destined for bigger and better things in the French top flight. So, when Chelsea swooped in the summer of 2012 for a cool £32 million, not many around the game were all that surprised. And it's safe to say that the chameleon-like Hazard settled into life in the Premier League easily and effortlessly, blending into his new environment and seamlessly becoming part of the landscape. Let's talk Chelsea next. Most football people around the world would be in an agreement that Eden Hazard did the lion's share of his best work in West London. And right from the off, he was a menace. In his first league game for the Blues, he provided an assist for Branislav Ivanovic and won a penalty in a 2-0 win. And this was simply just how things went for the Belgian, particularly during his early and middle years at the Bridge, apart from the ball boy controversy at Swansea. Hazard's ability to create a goal out of seemingly nothing was a skill which not many players have been blessed with down the years. And during those early years at Chelsea, it seemed as though he was doing this sort of thing week in, week out. His first season ended with a Europa League title, but much bigger things were on the horizon for this legendary number 7. The following season, he won Young Player of the Year, whilst also finishing second in the main award as well. He was also voted Chelsea's Player of the Year. During this time, Hazard was regarded as one of the most exciting players in the world, and some people in the know had even earmarked him as a future Galactico at Real Madrid already. Next up, the awards and trophies just keep coming. 2014 to 15 represented the season in which Eden Hazard went from potential to superstar. Instrumental in Chelsea winning the league and League Cup double that season, Hazard was unplayable in spells, which also saw him named Premier League Player of the Season, an award which isn't given out to just anybody. To reaffirm just how high his fellow pros regarded him, he was also named PFA Players Player of the Year. What made Hazard so special was his ability to dictate the play and create something out of nothing. He also possessed tremendous vision and had a touch to die for. If 14 to 15 had been his best season to date, the following season was arguably his worst. Indifferent form and the lure of PSG meant that for the first time, Eden Hazard was under the microscope. It didn't help that he only scored 4 league goals all season either. However, he was back at it the following year, as Chelsea made up the bread in the Leicester City title-winning sandwich by again being crowned champions of England. And yes, you guessed it, Hazard was inspirational once again, scoring 16 league goals in what was his best season, goals-wise, in England. An FA Cup win the following campaign meant that when all said and done, Eden Hazard would leave Chelsea having won everything except the Champions League. Not to worry on that front though, he was off to Madrid. In the summer of 2019, after long being linked with Los Blancos, Hazard made the switch to the Spanish capital for a reported €100 million, rising to €146 million if certain conditions were met. However, it's safe to say his time as a Galactico has been an unmitigated disaster, as the Belgian player has scored a grand total of just 7 goals in all competitions across his 4 seasons so far. So what happened to him? Nobody is for a second doubting Eden Hazard's talent, but there are some who have. over the past few seasons, questioned his desire to actually play for the side who he claimed in his signing on press conference to have always supported. After turning up in Madrid out of shape, it admittedly took Hazard a little while to find his form, which wasn't helped by an early injury which kept him out for almost the first month of the season. But just as he looked like he was settling in during the autumn, disaster struck. A rash challenge from the compatriot Thomas Mina ruled him out for 16 games, and the rest of that season was somewhat stop-start for Hazard. Looking back, if you turn up to sign for your dream club out of shape, you only really have yourself to blame, especially in a non-international tournament year. I mean, Hazard had the whole summer to reach peak fitness, but apparently decided signing for Real wasn't as important as he made out. It has been claimed by some people who have seen him up close that Hazard lacks a leader's mentality. Yes, he's been painted as the poster boy for the Belgian youth system, but the idea that he's gotten where he is due to mental toughness might not be too accurate. Hazard has been accused of being a poor trainer, and some have even suggested that he's closer to a laid-back South American in the way that he approaches things than he is a player from a top European nation. That's no disrespect on South Americans, that's just how it is. Next up, we're diving deeper into Hazard's attitude. Many players see Real Madrid as the pinnacle of world football, and for good reason. The famous old team from the Spanish capital have won the European Cup 14 times. I mean, it doesn't get much bigger than that. Hazard himself spoke of just what an honour it was to represent the club in the conference. So, considering all of this, it's easy to see why the Madrid faithful might be slightly peeved at the €100 million player who doesn't seem to be particularly bothered. Hazard's parents were the archetypal helicopter parents, always watching over what he was doing and planning his every move. Everything was laid out for him during his childhood, so psychologically, could his love of the sport simply have turned sour? It's entirely possible. We see this sort of thing time and time again, and not just in professional sports. I mean, just look at how the lives of a lot of child stars in Hollywood turn out. It is possible that having been mentored and told what to do every day of his life up to that point, Eden Hazard had just hit a point where he didn't want to be told what to do anymore. What definitely hasn't helped either is the amount of time which the man once dubbed the next Zidane had spent on the sidelines during his time in Madrid. Yes, we can probably all agree that nobody goes out of their way to get injured, but after a while, mentality just has to become a factor. Plenty of players have been injured and played through the pain barrier in the past, and for the money Madrid paid for him and the money he makes, there are some who have suggested he should be more willing to put his body on the line. And finally, is there any way back? This summer represents a huge crossroad for Eden Hazard. With just 12 months left on his Madrid contract/nightmare, could he choose to push a move through this summer? Time out of the continual glare of the cameras in the Spanish capital could be just what the doctor ordered for Hazard, but rumours are he wants to stay and fight for his place. I would too if I was on €460,000 a week. Hazard's huge contract is another reason why Madrid fans haven't taken to him. There are the obvious worries that he is just there to suck the club dry. If he was to leave, there wouldn't be another club on the planet who would pay him those wages. Not with his injury record over the past 4 years. So, he would be forced to take a mammoth pay cut. A move back to Chelsea is probably off the cards considering their new youth-focused transfer policy. So, could a return to France be the next stop on the Hazard Express? It's certainly possible. We know Paris Saint-Germain love taking the players deemed surplus to requirements at Barcelona and Real Madrid, so that could represent the Belgian's best chance at one last big contract. He would also go there with experience of winning League One with Lille all those years ago. Where do you guys think he'll end up? As usual, thanks for dropping in on us today, and remember to tune in again next time for some more fun bits and pieces. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. Bye guys!